positive development. It has emerged that 2 elderly coronavirus patients in South Korea made a full recovery after receiving blood plasma treatment. Now, health authorities say that plasma treatment guidelines will be announced within days. Our Kim Hyo-sun with the details.
South Korean researchers have proved the effectiveness of blood plasma treatment on coronavirus patients. Doctors at Yonsei Severance Hospital in Seoul administered plasma therapy on 2 elderly coronavirus patients, a 67-year-old woman and a 71-year-old man. They were treated with plasma from people who had recovered and have developed antibodies to the virus, enabling their bodies to protect themselves from the virus attacks. One of the patients was discharged after making a full recovery, while the other is said to be sent home soon.
The patients continue to suffer from acute respiratory distress syndrome, even after antiviral treatment. Then we decide to go with plasma treatment in combination with steroids.
Plasma is a yellowish blood fluid you get from centrifuging blood. It carries various nutrients, including protein as well as antibodies. Antibodies, which are Y-shaped proteins produced by the immune system, stop intruders from harming the body. These invaders, called antigens, can be viruses, bacteria, or other chemicals. Antibodies also enable macrophages to engulf viruses and bacteria. The South Korean government says it will soon provide detailed guidelines for the treatment, which was also used to treat patients during the MERS outbreak.
The guidelines for plasma treatment are nearly done, and we'll swiftly commence research on other means of treatment.
For now, it's crucial to secure enough plasma from people who have fully recovered from COVID-19. The government also needs to prepare for possible side effects, as no large-scale clinical trials have been conducted yet.
Oh my God!
After weeks in isolation, this was the moment Diana Barrett was waiting for.
I finally got a negative for the virus, positive for the antibodies, and I will be going to donate my plasma.
Plasma is the yellow liquid part of your blood that contains antibodies. When a virus gets inside the body, the immune system starts building antibodies to attack the infection. Doctors worldwide are asking if plasma from patients who've recovered from COVID-19 can help heal those who are still infected. It's an old treatment that's been tried during other pandemics dating back to 1918.
The anecdotal data coming from China is promising. The history of the use of this product in some circumstances is promising.
This Chinese study saw positive results, but there were only 5 patients. To get answers, Canadian scientists will be leading the world's largest clinical trial.
Every single university across the country, every hospital site has said, yes, we will do this. And I can tell by the email flurry that everybody is working 24/7 to make this happen.
Starting in about 3 weeks, the trial will include 1,200 COVID-19 patients, mainly in Quebec and Ontario hospitals. 2/3 will be infused with antibody-rich plasma. The rest will get standard care.
I would say probably the most thing we're worried about is recruiting enough donors so that we have enough plasma to go around.
They'll need donations from at least 800 recovered COVID-19 patients to make it all work. American patients like Barrett have already started handing over their plasma for emergency use.
Take as much as you want.
It's just like donating blood, and scientists are hoping Canadians will roll up their sleeves to help figure out if plasma is a worthy treatment or not.
Hey Reza.
Hi Josh, how are you?
Perhaps you can explain a bit what motivated you to say yes to this donation.
We've seen how the frontliners work. It's really difficult for them. And during that time, for 11 days at the hospital in Sungai Buloh, they treat me. I believe this is the time for me to give back to them as well as to Malaysia and also Malaysian. It's just a small donation.
看到马来西亚的疫情突然间变得很严重的时候呢，我就觉得我不仅仅只是可以待在家里 stay at the home， 我还可以去帮助这个病患者，所以我希望我的血可以帮助到重病者，而减少了我们在马来西亚患病者的死亡率。
Dan plasma ni kita akan kaji, dan kalau antibody dia tinggi, mungkin besar kemungkinan kita boleh gunakan plasma daripada pesakit untuk merawat pesakit yang lain.
Inilah masa untuk kita buktikan bahawa kita seorang rakyat Malaysia yang bertanggungjawab. Means kata, kalau arahan daripada government, daripada KKM yang kita perlu menjalankan PKP, duduk di rumah, jalankan tanggungjawab anda dengan lebih positif.
其实真的是可以帮助到这个病停止再去传播给第三代、第四代，甚至去到第五代。只要是我们每个都真的是很听话，乖乖的待在家里。真的是对疫情是非常非常的有帮助到的。
This morning, as patients with COVID-19 continue to pile into the emergency department and the ICU at Mount Sinai, there is some very promising, possibly life-saving news from deep inside the hospital's lab.
We have so many patients who are sick. They need some hope of a treatment.
Dr. Jeffrey Jang and his colleagues have developed a new test that may speed up and improve an old therapy, transfusing the plasma of patients who have recovered from COVID-19 into patients who are critically ill. The technique used effectively in the past in the SARS, H1N1 flu, in Ebola epidemics. And more recently, the Chinese used it in their battle with the coronavirus. Mount Sinai's new test, a cutting-edge weapon created by a team led by Dr. Florian Kramer.
Then we can get a readout, which is basically a change in color. And by doing that, we can determine if somebody has already immunity to COVID-19.
The darker the color, the higher the antibodies.
While other tests measure whether the antibody is there or not, our assay can also measure how much of the antibody is there. And that's important because we can identify those donors with a high amount of antibody who would most likely benefit the patients.
The hospital put out a call for those who had recovered and was stunned when 10,000 people volunteered. Danny Reamer was one of the first. Rima and his wife Shira live in New Rochelle, one of the first hotspots in the New York City area. They were only mildly ill, never hospitalized, recovering at home with their 3 kids, none of whom got sick.
As soon as we were released from quarantine, the first place we went was Mount Sinai. And to qualify for the donation program, you simply need to have a blood test and demonstrate that your antibody numbers are high, and you have to have a negative swab. It's very simple.
We have a picture of you contributing your plasma. What were you thinking?
This is probably the least heroic way possible to be a hero. It doesn't take much to make a big, big impact.
Each donor provides the equivalent of 4 doses of plasma, 2 doses being given to the sickest patients here. In the past few days, Mount Sinai has given 11 very sick patients the plasma of those who have recovered. Is it working?
I know that the expression game changer has a lot of weight to it. But might this therapy be a game changer?
I think we'll be able to evaluate the first patients that we have treated in a couple of weeks.
It isn't just Mount Sinai pushing to get convalescent plasma therapy up and running around the country. A group of doctors in 22 states from some of the country's leading research centers are spearheading the effort. The group started at Johns Hopkins, where they're focusing on using plasma to keep health workers and first responders from getting ill.
I believe that this is a potential disease-altering treatment.
Dr. Michael Joyner at the Mayo Clinic in Minnesota is also one of the leaders.
I'm hopeful we can modify the course of the disease, prevent high-risk individuals from getting it, reduce the risk of people in the hospital from needing ICU care, and shorten the stay of people who are in the ICU.
This morning, the Trump administration is promoting possible new treatments for COVID-19, including one that uses convalescent plasma.
This treatment involves taking blood plasma from patients who have already recovered from the virus.
On Saturday, Houston Methodist Hospital became the first in the nation to test the experimental therapy, transfusing plasma from a recent COVID-19 survivor into an infected patient.
The idea is that plasma may have parts of the immune system like antibodies against the COVID-19 virus that could potentially help patients that are currently sick with COVID-19.
The treatment has been around for decades, used with varying degrees of success during past viral outbreaks, including the 1918 flu pandemic, Ebola, and SARS. And overnight, anti-malaria drugs supported by President Trump now fast-tracked by the FDA to be used as an experimental treatment for COVID-19.
It could be a game changer and maybe not.
Dr. David Boulware from the University of Minnesota is one of the first FDA-approved physicians to conduct clinical trials of hydroxychloroquine.
First trial is looking at can we prevent disease in people who have a high-risk exposure. And second trial is looking at people who, once they develop symptoms, early symptoms, can we give preemptive therapy early in the treatment course? And so we're hopeful to have results really in the matter of weeks and not months.
Other drugs are on the table, too, including the unapproved antiviral drug remdesivir, unsuccessful at treating Ebola, but now in clinical trials for COVID-19. Chris Kane got the drug when he was in the hospital.
I got on that, and 3 or 4 days later, within 48 hours, I was feeling a lot better.
Promising leads, while several pharmaceutical companies try for the ultimate goal, a vaccine. One even started with human trials.
The experience was very similar to getting a flu shot. My arm is actually even less sore than flu shots I've had in the past. So I'm feeling good.
But experts warn it will take time. Some estimate up to 18 months, and that's considered record speed. Round-the-clock research with modern medicine to try to stop a global threat. For today, Kathy Park, NBC News.